Hi guys, I'm Varun Rugirala. So to start off, I thought it'd be interesting to do a small exercise. Think of all the interactions that you've had in your life with any person, any group of people, and imagine them as a box, right? Now put that in your mind, imagine it as a box. And then try to resize that box to meaningful interactions. That box suddenly got a lot smaller, didn't it? Now, considering the amount of time we actually spend in our lives having interactions, speaking to other people, trying to have conversations, why do we struggle to make them meaningful? Why does that box become this box? And why don't we actually spend enough time actually discussing why they're not meaningful? Why do we, A, fear having these interactions? Why do we run away from having them, right? Think of the number of times you've actually gone into a group of people talking, and then after a couple of minutes, you kind of take those 2 steps back and you slightly kind of slip away because you don't want to be part of it. I don't know if I have anything to say. And why do we never really spend time to learn how we can actually have these conversations, right? How do I actually have an engaging point of view? How do I kind of put some stuff across? And that's what I thought we'll talk about today. How can we all, as people, A, have better conversations, but also really learn to enjoy it, right? It shouldn't be a stressful exercise, it should be a happy exercise. So first, let me start off when we were all kids, right? When I was a kid, I was a chatterbox, right? I would walk up to every person I would ever meet, tell them my entire life history, everything my parents were doing, go to someone and say, oh, my mom and dad said this about you. Did not work well for my parents, but I had a meaningful conversation with that person, right? It was perfect. And I kept doing that for a long time, and I kept being told, you should stop doing this. Stop telling people everything that you know, right? But I never stopped. But then one day, I left the happy confines of Kakinada, where I'm from, which is a small town on the coast of Andhra Pradesh, and I went to Bangalore. And I suddenly shut up, right? There would be a bunch of people talking, and I would not speak as much. I would be very happy to again go into the background, not really have a point of view. I had friends. It's not like I was a loner, but I just generally didn't want to participate as much, right? And it took me years. I would say the last decade or so actually has been the period where I've slowly kind of got that back. I've kind of been able to kind of bring myself to actually have conversations, but it's always been a bit of a struggle. Till about a year or ago, because the nervousness is still there, right? A year or ago, I started hosting a podcast. Now, it kind of happened by chance. I didn't intend for it to be something that I do. I never thought I would actually do it because people told me I sound very weird on the mic, which I've been told lately that I don't. But before I get into what I got out of hosting the podcast, I thought I'd kind of go back and first talk about why did I stop? Why did I stop talking? Why did I stop having interactions? Why did I stop being that person who would talk about everything that I had in my head? Right? And I think it innately comes down to everybody's fear of being judged, right? You're always worried, right? That I'll say something and someone will judge me because what I said is A, wrong, or B, stupid, or 3, like not even connected to what they're talking about, right? You're worried you'll fall flat on your face. And the fact that, it will be all your insecurities kind of coming out, all these thoughts, all the things that can go wrong, but every word you say is sitting on your mind, and you're thinking, okay, maybe I shouldn't participate as much. And that's why I wasn't doing it. I was from a small town. I'd suddenly gone to Bangalore. Everyone was very cool. I wasn't. I didn't speak the way they did. Also, my idea of trying to be cool was I wore a chain which said cool on it. Didn't really help my case. Kuch Kuch Hota had just come out. I thought it's a cool thing to do. Definitely wasn't. And many of these things beyond the cool chain was stuff in my head, right? I don't think anybody really was judging me. I was judging myself. It was my insecurity kind of playing to that. And I came down to only having small talk. Now we all know what small talk is, right? I don't have to explain small talk to everybody here, but I will just do a small refresher course in small talk. You walk into a conversation, you don't know what to say, you want to play it safe, so what do? You talk about the weather. You talk about how bad the traffic is. Or my personal favorite, the most terrible thing you can say to kill a conversation is say, what's up? Nothing good came out of a conversation by starting it off by saying what's up, because someone will crack that one terrible joke every time you say what's up and they'll say the roof, which is not a good way to go. Right? Now, putting all of this aside, coming back to the podcast, right? Year and a half ago, I was reasonably social. I had gotten a lot more confident. My career had done well, so I had a group of friends I'd had consistently over years. So my fear of being judged went down over time, but still insecurities lied. I agreed to do this, and I sat in the room and I realized what I'd signed up for. Imagine you're in a room, you locked yourself in, you have one other person on the other side. You need to have a 45-minute to an hour odd meaningful conversation with that person and make sure that everybody who listens to it needs to also get some meaning out of it. It's like no pressure, right? And week after week, as the nerves went away and I stopped prepping as much as I had initially done, I realized something. I realized the fact that this actually was the best way for me to work towards many things you can actually do to have better conversations. I love it now. It's one of those things which I look forward to every week because it actually keeps me going. So I want to talk to you guys about what I learned. What made me go from someone who'd shut up to kind of bringing it back to then coming down to being someone who actually enjoys it and even looks at it as a craft, right? Because I think it's a craft having good conversation. So let me do the bunch of pointers which are necessarily there. The first thing I learned was to actually be a human being. You know, we treat conversations many times like interrogations. I have a question, you are giving me the answer, right? Or it's a two-way tug of war, question, 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 question. That's what you're doing all the time, right? That's not a human interaction. That is, I don't even know what that is. And we keep doing that, but if you actually come down to a human level and you actually share something about yourself, like I told you about the story of how I told everything about my parents, right? That's me sharing. It's you saying, I'm okay to be a little vulnerable. I will tell you about something that I've been through. So you will do the same. So then we kind of ease out, we relax, and we can actually have a conversation. It's like sitting on a beach versus being in a tug of war, right? What I also learned was to listen more. This is one of the most crucial things. We don't listen. I'm terrible at it. I have to be reminded time and time again to listen more. And actually, a person who reminds me the most now is my 2.5-year-old daughter who says, Papa, listen. So I'm like, okay, I'm listening to you. And why we don't listen is that when it's about something that we're actually interested in, we pay attention. Once it meanders a little bit, our mind also kind of goes somewhere else, right? Now, when you start forcing yourself, like I have, to actually pay attention no matter what, even those mundane interactions, there is something you get out of it. It's a small, tiny thing you get out of it. And even if you don't get anything out of it, you're building a relationship with the other person because that person feels like you're actually giving them attention. That what they're saying actually means something to you, which means even if it isn't giving something to your mind, it's giving something to your heart. And even if the conversation is dead, that person's taking into a dead end, which is the worst place to go, you learn something called a segue. If you see a good stand-up comedian, right? Years ago, there was a stand-up workshop which we did in our office, and I learned it that day, is that a good segue by a stand-up is when they're talking about one particular topic, and they flip it to another line, and it's not something you would expect, but it would take you to different places. It keeps it exciting, keeps it engaging, moves stuff around. Now, take that to a conversation, which means you're keeping it engaging, right? It's not like one track is going like this. You're moving it around. So when someone's having trouble trying to figure out where to take the conversation with you, you help them by taking it to a place which is engaging for them, exciting for you, except for one rule. That one rule is don't make the other person feel like you're making it about yourself. Because that kills it, right? And this, for me, is my pet project in life. Throughout your life, you're always told, why do you consume so much useless information? Why do you care about Marvel and DC? Why do you know so much about the movie Tridev? Like, why do you constantly obsess about why India has the most number of good morning messages on WhatsApp? Right? These are all things which are useless for many people, but I think they actually shape your character. They make you unique when someone interacts with you because you talk about things which they would normally not have heard from someone else. And that's what actually is the entire thing about useless information. Because imagine if every conversation was just useful. It would be damn boring. Right? And the last point, which I think is also very important, especially for the world we live in today, is that we need to have a point of view. Because we worry so much, because we fear so much, we stop ourselves from having a point of view, from voicing it, kind of toe the line. I wouldn't say the word diplomatic is the right word used for this, because when you say diplomatic, a good diplomat knows how to have a point of view, but yet toe the line. And because we don't speak out our points of view, we hold it in. It stays inside us till one day it bursts out in solid form, never letting the other person give you their point of view. Whereas if you actually constantly interact with people, I have a point of view, I'm talking to you, you have a point of view which is different from mine, and you're talking to me, it might get heated, but by the end of it, we both have a more balanced point of view because I've understood what you're saying and you've understood what I'm saying. Right? And that kind of both lets us stand each other, but also lets us understand each other. Right? And I wanted to kind of look at the person on your left and look at the person on your right. Look at the person 5 rows in front and 5 rows behind and 5,000 kilometers away and have that conversation. Because by doing that, we might just save the world for each other by having these interactions. Thank you.